Hey, it's Steve Kinney here, and in this video, I'll be discussing Luna's most significant update of the year. With long requested features like bounce in place, track presets, and a complete overhaul of the browser being added into Luna, these changes will have you working faster than ever to make your recordings sound like records. Now, all of these new features are bespoke and go much deeper than the feature name might suggest, so kick up your feet as we deep dive each feature, or use the chapter markers to skip ahead to an update that you're interested in learning more about. In version 1.3, Luna introduced Track Freeze, which is a useful feature for saving system resources, collaboration, and more. In version 1.8, Bounce expands on this capability, giving you a fully editable track or tracks from the bounce process. With this new feature, you can bounce an entire track or a range selection, and you can take that bounce selection to a new track or bring the selection over to an existing track. You can even choose to bounce the audio up to a specific insert in the mixer, preserving only the effects applied up to that point. And when you've gone too far and you need to revert back, you can restore not only a single bounce forward, but multiple bounces all the way back to the original source track. Bouncing a track in Luna can be accessed in a variety of ways. First, select the track that you want to bounce. From here, you can either navigate to Track and choose Bounce, find your target track in the browser, right-click and choose Bounce, or right-click on the track header and choose Bounce. We can also use the shortcut Command B. Finally, we can right-click on a plugin in the mixer to bounce up to that specific plugin. Now, to bounce only a portion of the timeline, simply make a range selection and either go to Track and choose Bounce Range, right-click in the timeline and choose Bounce Range, or use the shortcut Option B. In addition to being accessible in a variety of ways, we can also modify the behavior of how Luna handles the source tracks and the new destination tracks. We can access these bounce settings by going to Track and choosing Bounce Settings, or with the shortcut Shift Option B. While we're in this menu, if we make a selection on a track or in the timeline, we can have Luna either archive the original track, which deactivates and releases all of the original track's resources, or we can choose to delete the original track altogether, or we can keep the original track in its existing state alongside the newly created bounced track. By default, Luna prefers to save disk space by retaining the individual clips in the timeline when bouncing. Choosing Consolidate merges the audio into one file when bouncing. And in the destination panel, we can direct our bounce track to populate into a new track or into an existing one. Finally, reverting a bounce track back to the original source track is easy. Simply right-click the track header and choose Restore Bounce Source. The original track is restored and the bounce track is retained, making it easy to compare and contrast changes. In this example, I have some toms being triggered by EZDrummer that are supplementing the live drums. I like the way that they sound, but the toms ring out for just a little too long. And since it's MIDI and not a WAV file, I can't add any clip fades, and automation here might start to get a bit tedious. Instead, I'll bounce a range selection. First, I'll highlight the range that I want to bounce. Next, I'll bring up my bounce settings with the shortcut Shift Option B. And since I'm now done with this instrument, I can choose to archive my source track. I'll make my destination a new track and click Bounce. Now, I can add a fade to the audio tail of the toms and save on system resources. Now here, I have a vocal that I've melodined and I've cleaned up. I've also made a few very specific EQ moves that I'd like to keep. However, my heart's not totally set on the rest of the chain, so in this case, I'm gonna access bounce by right-clicking in the mixer at the last plugin in the chain that I want to be included in the bounce, and then I'll just choose bounce. And one thing that's really great about bounce in Luna is that it prefers to save disk space where it can. Rather than consolidating my clips into one longer and larger WAV file, my edits here in this case are preserved. Finally, here's an advanced workflow that you can use for your mixes and revisions to compare and contrast your project's changes. You can bounce your main bus track to a new track within the project. Sometimes this is referred to as a print track, but what's cool is that with bounce and versions together, I can now keep track of my iterations of my mix as I go within the session itself. So say I make a major mix revision for a client, I can create a new version and bounce to that same track. Or say I make a change to just the chorus of my project, but everything else is golden, I can simply select my range and in the browser window, select the correct target track and choose bounce. From there, I can consolidate and export just the clip itself. Track presets in Luna let you store and recall complete channel strip settings, including instruments, plugins, routing, and more. Whether you're working on a single track, a multi-output instrument, or even a whole group of tracks, track presets have you covered. Let me show you how it works. Saving a track preset is simple. You can go to Track and choose Save as Track Preset, right-click on any track and select Save as Preset, or select a track and use the shortcut Shift-Option-P. You can save any track, bus, or instrument, which includes the multi-out settings. In fact, you can save any group of tracks together for faster, more complex setups. For example, if you're working with a multi-output instrument and you've dialed it in complete with processing and effects, you can save all of the multi-out routing and buses as a single preset and recall it whenever you need. Once you save a preset, Luna makes it easy to recall in a variety of situations. I can recall a preset when creating a new track by clicking on the plus icon in the browser and choosing Preset, or I can use the keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-P. Along with the new track presets feature is the bus preset workflow enhancement. With bus presets, I can easily create buses from a preset within the Luna mixer. Simply right-click on Ascend and choose your bus preset. A new bus is added and your bus's settings are recalled. If you get into a scenario where you want to assign an existing track with a preset settings, we can double-click the track header in the timeline and choose Assign, or we can right-click on the target track and choose Assign. The final way to interact with presets is to drag and drop from the new browser in Luna, which brings us to our final new feature enhancement, Browser tabs. The new browser in Luna has now been updated to include 3 different browser views, which includes an overview of your tracks, plugins, and presets. These views enhance your workflow in Luna by allowing you to always have access to your track presets without having to dive through menus, in addition to being able to quickly add plugins to your session and manage your tracks. To manage your browser, you can toggle the browser on and off by using the backtick key. You can also cycle through the browser to the different tabs by using the shortcut Option Backtick or Shift Option Backtick. Jumping to the Plugins tab, you can enable the new Icons view, which allows you to see your plugins at a glance. When navigating the browser, we can collapse and open the parent folders with the left and right directional keys on our keyboard, as well as moving through the list with the up and down arrows. Pressing Return or clicking Add inserts the highlighted plugin to the selected track. Drag and drop works great and intuitively here as well. I can either drag a plugin directly to a specific insert slot, or I can drag the plugin to a track header to automatically insert the plugin at the end of the next available insert slot. Finally, right-clicking allows us to enable Assign mode, where we can quickly add a plugin to a number of tracks by clicking and dragging across the mixer. Now, earlier in the video, we talked about track presets, and with the new browser tabs, it's easier than ever to create new tracks from presets or update existing tracks. Simply drag and drop your preset to the desired track or to an empty location to create a new one. And finally, in the browser, we can also manage our presets easily, adding folders and dragging to reorganize, keeping our browser tidy and clean. So that's a wrap on the new Luna features in the version 1.8 update. This update is all about making your workflow faster, more intuitive, and more creative. Let us know in the comments below what your favorite new feature is, and subscribe to the Universal Audio YouTube channel for the latest developments on all things UA. Videos like this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the feedback menu in Luna, so be sure to share your ideas and improvements with the team. Now go create some music. See you in the next video. Cheers.